Aries, welcome to you. This is your tarot reading for August, coming from the mountains of Java. And Aries, I really hope you enjoy it and get something useful from it. I sincerely do. Aries, I think this is a reading of great hope. I think. But certainly you've been through some hard times and they're not over yet. And there are potholes along the way for your recovery, for sure. Why do I say it's of great hope? Well, if you look at that central card, the Three of Wands, you're planning. You're planning something. You're planning a course of action. So that suggests to me that you are overcoming whatever the problems may have been that have faced you. If we look to the bottom right hand corner, we have the Death card. Something has come to an end. Something has come to an abrupt end. Probably a painful end. And you know, you're not over it because we now have the Devil card. Attachments, addictions. Now, I think what came to the end and what you were attached to and addicted to was a person, somebody you loved. Doesn't have to be, but it feels like that from the other cards. So, yeah, you're certainly not over it. You're still attached, I believe, to a person. And that ended. In your future, we have the Seven of Cups. There are many opportunities for you. And of course, this was about, the whole thing's about planning. So planning new opportunities, but not all of them are what they may seem. Some of them may not be good opportunities for you. Indeed, your energy that impacts on the outcome is you wanting to act, wanting to do something new, an impulse to go out and find something new, which I think is good if you can follow that. Because if you don't, I believe that the energy that will impact negatively on the outcome is a broken heart, which is why I believe this attachment and what ended was a loving relationship. I mean, it doesn't have to be, you know, what could have ended could have been the end of a business, it could have been the end of a relationship that wasn't a loving relationship. But this broken heart does say to me that I think it was about love. Now, if you can free yourself of that broken heart, I think the outcome is a good outcome. It's you scoring some victories and being seen by others to have scored these victories. So yeah, I think it is a positive reading in the end. Now, I hope this is resonating, because please listen to the rest to find out the depth to it all. And if it is resonating, if you can subscribe, hit the bell for future readings, hit the like button and make a comment. All these things help me to grow the channel. Thank you. Thank you so much, Aries. You may well be asking, why from Java? What's important about tarot from Java? And the truth is, there is nothing so important about tarot from Java. Simply that here in Java, we have many different spirits who will come to help in your tarot reading. It'll probably put a different reflection on things. For example, the spirits here are less likely to be concerned about love and finances, despite people in Java being every bit as interested in these things as the rest of us. But maybe the spirits are trying to tell us something else. Now I'll be using probably 2 decks, but out of 3 decks. So the first deck is Tarot Nusantara. The second deck is the Steampunk deck. And the third deck is the Light Visions Tarot. Tarot Nusantara is actually a new one to me, which I love. Whereas the Light Visions, I've struggled with as a result of the rendering. Although I think I'll grow into it, I will keep using it and coming back to it. You can see on all of them, I'm using quite a lot of salt, and that's to clear the energy and the spirits from them. Something that I do fairly regularly with my tarot. And I also, you'll see a number of Jimat there that I use just to bring a good energy to the tarot and to my reading. Perhaps the most important mystical object we use in Java is the kris, the curly knife that you can see that I've placed across both decks. Kris are very important for bringing the spirits to work on any object here in Java. And I call on the spirits of the mountain to assist me in shuffling the cards, in selecting the right cards and interpret them correctly for Aries for August 2022. So Aries, I've mentioned it in the opening, but the card that runs throughout this whole thing and what this is all about is you planning something new. This is more than you simply considering options. This is you wanting to act upon them, physically planning and doing something about it. It's probably something very, very different to you. Could even be something overseas, but it's certainly something that is uncharted territory to you. I mean, you look at the card, there he is with the 3 wands on his hand, looking across the water, so looking at something different, very actively planning what he should do. As I say, this runs throughout, so it's suggesting to me that you have retaken some of your power. You've retaken some of your power and you're now on the right path, which is why, despite some of these cards not being great, I see it as a reading of great hope. And I must keep remembering that as I interpret each card. And now, why I talk about this reading being a reading of great hope is you've definitely had some difficult times, and indeed they're not over. In a recent past we have the Death card. It's a sudden and it's an abrupt ending. It's probably not a welcome ending. So at this stage we don't quite know what it's to, although I think it's about love. And if you look at the card, well, there's Death on his horse, the angel of death on his horse, cutting with his scythe through the people, killing them all. But you know, even on this card there is great hope. There's that man, the old man, standing up to him, almost saying, "You shall not pass." And behind him on the hill is a Hindu temple. So I think there is even hope to be found in this energy. But certainly in the past something has happened that has turned your world upside down. And now, as if the Death card's not bad enough, we now have the Devil in your current energy. This is an unhealthy attachment to something. Now, I think you're attached to whatever it is that you've lost, and as I say, I think it's a love, but it doesn't have to be. I think that's the attachment. Although it could, of course, be that you're so miserable with what has happened to you that you have developed an addiction to drugs, alcohol, pornography, listening to this channel, whatever it might be. It could be an unhealthy attachment as a result of the pain that you're feeling in your life. You look at the card, well, they've got those collars around their neck and they're shackled to that rock that the Devil's on. But do you know, I don't think those collars are that tight, and I think they could quite easily slip them off. And this is a part of the hope that I do see in this reading. But yeah, You've not got over whatever it was that happened in the past to you that brought an end to everything. Your future energy is the Seven of Cups. Now, going back to the energy that runs through it, the Three of Wands, you action planning, well, this is saying that you have plenty of opportunities ahead of you, many opportunities. But not all of them may be good opportunities, not all may be what they seem. So you look at the card, well, you know, if you've got a cup with a horseshoe wreath in it, you'd probably be quite happy. If you got the one with the cover over it, you wouldn't know whether to be happy or not until you opened it up. But if you got the card with a cup with a snake in it, you certainly wouldn't be happy. So, you know, I think your troubles aren't entirely over. And this may be suggesting that you should be somewhat cautious. Sometimes, you know, when I interpret this as being about business, I see it as being, well, you know, explore plenty of options, do as much as you can. So when I was in business, we'd always have one project going wrong at any point in time. And we just had to hope that we had enough projects on the go that they'd offset the major losses that would occur from one project going wrong. So, you know, that's the energy that comes from this. Now, the energy that leads to the outcome is the Page of Wands. And because the outcome is a pretty good outcome, I have to see this as positive. And the Page of Wands is a card of action, a card of you wanting to do something. So you've been planning action, and then this is you actually doing something. You look at the card, yeah, he's going off on a new journey. Nobody's saying that everything will work out. Indeed, the landscape looks a little bit parched, doesn't it? But it's only through doing these things will you recover from the problems of the past and to find something new. So again, I think it's an energy of great hope we have here. But you know, there is a danger of you not achieving this favourable outcome. And that is through the energy of the Three of Swords, which is the energy of a broken heart. So whatever happened in the past broke your heart, which is why I probably see it as that it was a loving relationship that ended, and that you're still somewhat attached to that relationship, the Devil card, which is why you feel heartbroken now. Now, it doesn't have to be, you know, it could have been that your heart is broken because you lost a business, you lost a friendship, you lost a hobby. I don't know, you had to move. Well, there's no indication of movement. You know, it could be many things, but I think you broke your heart because you lost somebody that you love. And you look at the card, well, there's no mistaking, is it? You know, 3 swords through a heart. And what I would say is it's only a minor arcana, it's only a 3. It shouldn't last. You should be able to get over it. And indeed, the placement of this card is saying, don't focus on it, don't focus on it. And as I've said, I see the outcome as a very positive outcome. It's the 6 of Wands. Scoring some victories and gaining public recognition for scoring some victories. So if we relate this to what's happened so far in the cards, it suggests to me this is you overcoming the Tower moment. This is you overcoming that attachment or addiction that's there. And people recognising, people knowing that you've done it, can see that you've done it. So this impulse for action, this action planning and then going out and acting, People are aware that you've done it, and it does help you to recover from, let's face it, what have been somewhat bad times. You look at the card, well, he's on a horse going through the streets. He's clearly just won a battle. I sometimes say that it might create jealousy, but there's no indication of jealousy there. And why take the shine off what looks to be a lovely ending for you, Aries? But I want some clarification. Well, I guess I could seek clarity on a number of cards, but I think if we can understand this Devil card, what it is you're attached to, then I think it will unpack the rest. But having drawn the cards, I'm not too certain that it does. The first card that came out was the Five of Wands, which is a card of conflict. A card of people pulling in different directions. The next card is the Nine of Swords, and that is you having nightmares. Okay, maybe it's saying something. And then we have the Five of Swords, which is another sort of conflict card, but I particularly on this rendering, I see it as maybe a card of cheating or deception. Let's look at each card individually. So yeah, the first card of clarity is the Four of Wands, card of conflict, card of disagreement. It's a sort of card whereby, you know, if you were running a business that maybe you haven't fully explained your vision and what is required of people to meet your vision, or they don't subscribe into your vision, because you look at the card and they're all trying to do something, but they're all trying to do it somewhat differently, pulling in different directions. Now remember, this is about the Devil card, attachments. So, going back to my thoughts that the Tower, Death card, was the end of a loving relationship. It would seem that the loving relationship, if I'm right, the loving relationship ended because you couldn't stop arguing. But nevertheless, I think you still love them, hence the broken heart. And now we have the Nine of Swords. The Nine of Swords is the energy of nightmares. So whatever it is you were attached to, you're having nightmares about it. Could you even be having nightmares about these arguments? It's entirely possible, you know. Of course, it's entirely possible that the person you were in love with was a narcissist, and that this attachment is codependence. That's entirely possible. But whatever it is, it's giving you nightmares. So I was absolutely right that the problems of the past have carried into the future. And I think this whole reading is about you overcoming them. But you look at the card itself, sitting up in bed in the middle of the night, the Nine Swords above her head. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. She can't sleep because she's worried about something, isn't she? And the final card of clarity is the Five of Swords. So quite interesting that we've had the Five of Wands and the Five of Swords. Five of Swords is conflict, disagreements, competition, winning at all cost. And now, if I'm right that you were in a relationship with a narcissist, that's certainly how it feels. And if they were determined to win at all costs, they probably even convinced you that it was partially your fault and that's what you're having nightmares about. An alternative explanation for this is that you're going through a divorce and that either you or they are determined to win at all cost. However, you look at this actual card and I think there's some deception going on, because you see the lady wanting to buy a sword there, but in the background it looks like her accomplice is stealing a sword. Could there also be deception here? I don't know. And I don't think it matters, because I think we do know that this death card has deeply affected you. There was conflict around it, and that it's keeping you awake at night, worrying about it, and that you need to overcome that conflict. So I think we can summarise now for you, Aries. Aries, there's another tarot reader on YouTube that I often look at, and he always takes a positive interpretation of everything, and he believes he has a duty to. He'll freely admit that that's what he does, and he's quite a gifted tarot reader, I'd say. And I feel like I'm doing the same here, but no, I think the whole reading is one of great hope, because you see, you've certainly had some hard times. Something came to an abrupt ending, and I believe it was a relationship, a loving relationship. And it came to an abrupt ending because you were always arguing. And there's just a possibility that person was a narcissist, and that the arguments, that's what narcissists do. And they had to win the arguments at all cost. And I know from bitter experience that's what they're like. And you're currently being kept awake at night because you're still somewhat codependent on them. But it's not your fault. You're going over in your mind, well, what if I did this? What if I did that? None of it's your fault. You need to move on. You need to go no contact. But it's clearly still affecting you. And the broken heart that's resulted from this could prevent you from moving on. But I think you're made of more resilient stuff than that, Aries. Because you're planning something new, something very different. It could even be overseas, moving. But you're planning something very different. And you're anxious to do something very different. And indeed, I believe you do something very different. Now, there's no saying that everything that is going to be swimming from now on. Indeed, there's going to be opportunities, and not all those opportunities will be what they seem. But that's life, Aries. The important thing is that you get over these problems of the past. Because if you don't get over them, you're not going to move on. But in all likelihood, I do see you moving on, Aries. I do see you moving on. I do see you scoring some victories because you're going to act, you're going to do something different. And the lovely thing about these victories is people can see that you've changed. People can see that you've moved on. So big pat on the back to you, Aries. Well, I do hope you've enjoyed Tarot from Java as an addition to my channel, The Magic of Java. Please take a look at the other videos that I have on this channel about magic from Java, and I hope that you will become a subscriber. Now, if you want to hear your next tarot reading, hit the button, and that will inform you of when I publish new readings. I'm certainly going to do a reading for every month, but maybe I will try them a bit more frequently, say a mid-month reading, and maybe also some special readings. But above all, thank you so much for listening to me. Thank you, and enjoy Java.